How many times have you prayed for a new life, yet kept thinking the same old way? How often have you longed to live something new, but something inside you stayed the same? As if there were a quiet distance between what you want to live and what you actually believe you're capable of living. You cry out to God for a new season, but you feel stuck, trapped in the repetition of the same patterns, the same fears, the same reactions that have been suffocating you for far too long. It's like trying to fill a glass with clean water, but forgetting that the filter is dirty. The appearance may change, but the taste remains bitter, because a new life can't be built on an old mind. It's no use changing your city, your ministry, your relationships, or your goals if your mindset is still running on outdated software. It's like trying to install a new program on an old operating system and then blaming the program when it crashes. The problem isn't the program, it's the system. So many spiritual frustrations are born here. You want change, but you search for it outside. You try praying more, fasting more, fighting harder, but all without a true transformation of the mind. Without that deep cleaning of the beliefs you've carried since childhood, without honestly examining the inner voices that still whisper, "You're not enough, you'll never make it, it's too late now." So you pray, but still feel drained. You hear about faith, but remain stuck. And then guilt grows, and hope fades. But there is another possibility. There is another path. The Bible calls it the renewing of the mind. In Romans 12:2, Paul writes, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." It's not just about believing in something new, it's about becoming someone new, from the inside out, slowly, deeply, truly. And today, I want to walk with you down that road. A road that may feel hard at first, but in the end, it's absolutely worth it.
1. Warning: you're living as if you're a victim of your own life. Sometimes, without even realizing it, you begin to live as if you have no choice, as if you were just a spectator in your own story, dragged by circumstances, pushed by routine, suffocated by excuses that sound true, but quietly drain your hope. "I don't have time. That's just not for me. Life's just like that." You say these things so often that you start to believe them, and what you believe shapes your world. This is the trap of subtle victimhood. It doesn't shout, it whispers, and its whispers are dangerously convincing. They numb your faith. They make you wait for something to change out there. But the gospel was never about waiting for something out there. It has always been about awakening something in here. God's grace is not just the forgiveness of your sins, it's the strength that empowers you to rise, to walk, to choose, to respond with faith even when everything tells you it's not worth it. Jesus shows us this in a powerful way in John 5 when he meets a paralyzed man who had been lying beside a pool for 38 years, waiting for something external to happen. He didn't ask to be healed. He didn't cry out. He was just waiting for someone to put him in the water. Then Jesus comes and asks a stunning question. "Do you want to be made well?" It's as if he were saying, there is something in you that can still choose. There is something in you that's not dead yet. That question echoes across the centuries. It reaches you, today, right now. There is still something in you that can choose. There is still something in you that can believe. And that's where mind renewal begins, when you stop waiting for the world to change and start responding to the voice that calls from within. the voice that says, "Get up, walk, dream again, believe again," not like someone waiting for a miracle to come from the outside, but like someone reconnecting with the God who already lives inside.
2. The scarcity mindset that sabotages your purpose. There's a way of thinking that quietly sabotages everything you try to build. It's a low, steady voice that always ends sentences with a "but." I really wanted to start, but I don't have time. I even thought about taking a risk, but I'm not good enough. I trust God, but I'm not sure it's going to work out. That's the logic of scarcity. And it doesn't live in your wallet. It lives in your mind. It's a filter that distorts everything: your worth, your future, your faith. When your mindset is trapped in lack, your decisions become small, fearful, overprotected. And the problem isn't just what you don't do, it's the person you never become. Scarcity shrinks your identity long before it touches your circumstances. It convinces you that you don't have what it takes to live the life God has called you to live. And because you believe it, you bury your talent, like the servant in Matthew 25. He wasn't lazy, he was ruled by fear. And fear made him hide what he was meant to multiply. Neuroscience shows that when your brain is focused on what's missing, it reduces your creativity, your long-term vision, even your willingness to take risks. You begin to operate in survival mode. And in survival mode, you only do the minimum. You only choose what's safe. You only believe what you can already see. But God's purpose for your life will never fully unfold under a spirit of scarcity, because the kingdom isn't built by those who walk by feelings, but by those who choose to walk by faith. You don't have to see everything now, but you do have to trust that what God placed in you is enough to begin. And when you begin, something shifts. When you say yes, even with trembling hands, heaven responds. Faith is not the absence of fear. It's a decision in the face of lack. It's like sowing into dry ground because you heard God say the rain is coming. And it will. It always does. But before the rain falls outside, it has to fall inside first. Inside you, where purpose is born, where change begins, where the mind is renewed. 3. Shift from "what do I need to do" to "who do I need to become?" The soul grows weary when it lives only for tasks. When your mind wakes up every day asking, "What do I have to do now?" but never asks, "Who am I becoming through this?" something inside begins to disconnect. You can be efficient and still feel lost. You can complete every checklist and still have an empty heart. Life isn't sustained by doing. It is built on being. There's a silent obsession with results that chokes out true transformation. It pushes you to measure everything by what you accomplish outwardly, but forgets that real change is born in the invisible, in the intimate, in your character. The great question of spiritual maturity isn't "how can I do more?" but "how can I become someone who naturally lives what is right?" This is what Dallas Willard called true spiritual formation, not an external effort to appear changed, but an internal process that slowly shapes you into the image of Christ, until doing good becomes natural, not just aspirational. The Bible says in Proverbs 4:23, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." It is from the heart, from a renewed mind, a reshaped character, that the flow of life is sustained. You might try to change your habits, your surroundings, the people around you, but if you don't change who you are becoming, you'll end up right back where you started,
the old mind will sabotage the new life. So ask yourself honestly, who you want to be 1 year from now. Not what do you want to have or achieve, but who do you long to become? Maybe it's someone braver, more generous, more grounded. What's blocking that today? What inner lies still shape your reaction to challenges? A transformed mind understands that everything begins with being. Doing is simply the outcome. God isn't just interested in what you can do for Him. He's shaping you into who He dreamed you would be from the beginning. And when that happens, what you do naturally aligns with who you are, and everything changes.
4. A renewed mind doesn't react, it responds, with purpose. There's a profound difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is almost automatic, the shout that comes before thought, the judgment that rises before listening, the fear that takes the place of faith. Reacting means living at the mercy of outside triggers, as if everything around you holds the power to control what's within. But responding is the fruit of a trained mind, of a heart that has learned to breathe before deciding, that doesn't get swept away by waves, but chooses to plant its feet on solid ground. A renewed mind doesn't live like a thermometer, merely reflecting the temperature of the environment. It lives like a thermostat. It sets the atmosphere, even when everything around feels unstable. While the world spins in cycles of anxiety and impulsiveness, those with transformed minds learn to observe, discern, and then act, with purpose, with calm, with strength. This isn't weakness. It's spiritual maturity. It's power under control. Philippians 4:8 calls us to think on whatever is true, noble, right, pure, and lovely. This isn't a decorative exercise. It's a practical instruction for how to guide our minds, because what fills your thoughts will direct your steps. Renewing your mind means learning to choose what you think about, and from there, deciding how to act. It's training your heart not to respond to chaos with more chaos, but with presence, with clarity, with faith. This inner strength builds slowly, through small daily choices, like learning to pause before you speak, to listen before you judge, to wait on God before you panic. And each conscious response becomes a brick in the foundation of a life aligned with the Spirit. Reacting is easy. Responding takes transformation. And in that difference lies the secret of a life lived with purpose, not by impulse.
The life you long for doesn't start when your circumstances finally align. It starts when something within you changes, when the lens through which you see the world is cleaned, restored, renewed. Because if your glasses are dirty, the whole world will seem blurry, even if the sun is shining outside. Beauty will be there, opportunities too, but none of it will feel like enough if your inner vision is still clouded by an old mindset. C.S. Lewis once said that faith isn't just believing without seeing, it's seeing all of reality through the lens of a new story. And that story begins in your mind, in the way you interpret pain, in the way you respond to loss, in the kind of thoughts you choose to nurture in the silence of your days. God doesn't just want to change your circumstances. He wants to transform you, so that when your circumstances do change, you're ready to sustain the new. Because a blessing that comes too soon can crush a heart that isn't prepared. That's why the renewal of the mind isn't a spiritual luxury. It's soul survival. It's the soil where destiny-shaping decisions take root, almost always small, almost always unseen, but eternally powerful. And it all begins when you stop waiting for something external to come and save you, when you pause, breathe, and realize that real transformation starts within, that a mind aligned with truth
is more powerful than any external change the world can offer. And so, one question continues to echo. Are you waiting for a new life with an old mind, or will you choose to be renewed before time runs out?